All right, this is a special birthday edition of the podcast. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm recording this the week before my birthday, but we're releasing it the day after. So let's just call it a birthday episode. I'm turning 49 on December 29th, and I wanted to do something special. This has been a really big, meaningful year for me, a year of a lot of reinvention. It is not a coincidence that this Reinventability podcast was launched this year. I've gone through a lot of significant change and a big reinvention internally and externally in my work and how I show up. And so I wanted to share with you the 10 lessons that I learned about reinvention, about growth, about audacious goals, about self-doubt, about confidence. And I was actually spent the earlier part of today jotting them down, just kind of reflecting back on what were the big lesson that I learned. And I have them here with me so they're fresh in my mind. And so I wanted to spend this episode sharing them with you because I have had a gift this year of interacting with so many incredible, awesome humans, both through my mentorship work, my Reinventability Accelerator, and just talking with people in my community. And reinvention, I think, is that this is the moment in time. I hear it from so many people who either feel this like inner tug that like something is missing in their life, like they want to be more deeply fulfilled. They want to be more deeply alive. They're not sure what that is. For other people, they're at a pivot point. Maybe kids have gone off to college, something I relate to. Our daughter Mia is a junior. And for others, maybe it's a significant change in a relationship, getting divorced or moving, or people who, are in their mid 50s and kind of nearing retirement or have retired, but don't even want to think about it because they feel like they have so much more to give, or people changing careers or wanting to change careers. And just this theme of reinvention and embodying greater fulfillment in life is something that I feel is top of mind for so many people. And so I hope you're one of them if you're listening, because I hope that you will be inspired and will find these lessons that I learned useful and relevant for you. So without further ado, the 10 lessons that I learned about reinvention, self-growth, self-doubt, and the meaning and the power of audacious goals. Here we go. All right. I got my iPad here with them on it so that I want to get these right because I spent quite a bit of time reflecting on them. All right. My number one lesson that I learned, and this has become the cornerstone of my work on helping you reinvent. And it's that reinvention is not about becoming someone new. It's actually about becoming more of who you are. Reinvention is about the way that I think about it. It's about uncovering your inner masterpiece. And all of us, all of you have so many unique dimensions and so many unique gifts. And the way that I really feel like deep in my gut is that the whole gig, as I like to say, the whole purpose in life is to figure out what are those unique dimensions? What are the things that you have to offer to the world that are uniquely yours because we all have them, and then find ways to express them that bring you joy. And, the metaphor that I use, and I was just working on my new keynote about reinventability, and you've all probably heard about this, but when Michelangelo, I think I even talk about it in the first episode of this podcast, but when Michelangelo was sculpting, he's said to have said that the sculpture is already within the piece of marble, and all he has to do is chisel away at the unnecessary pieces to reveal it. And that is how I think of reinvention. And it's been really revealing for me to go through this year and to uncover new dimensions of myself. One of them in particular is as a one-on-one mentor. I've done group leadership mentorship. I used to do annual, year-long mentorship group for women leaders. I have trained hundreds of leaders in my Leading Through Change program, the Reinventability Accelerator. The next one is coming up this winter. So footnote. If it is something you're interested in, shoot me an email, natalie@happier.com, and I'll be happy to share the details. But it wasn't until earlier this year, that I really started to dedicate a lot of my time to doing one-on-one mentorship. And it's something I'd done on and off, but in kind of in a significant way. And it's a new dimension of myself. And I want to tell you that for years, I told myself the story that that's not who I am. I'm really one to many. I am great on a big stage or with a group. And then earlier this year, I kind of asked myself to challenge a lot of these kind of beliefs that I had about myself, just to see if they were actually true. And when I asked myself, well, this one-on-one mentorship, is it something that you want to explore? And the answer was this enthusiastic yes inside of me. And it's something that I absolutely love. It's deeply gratifying to work with someone for a long time. I work with most of my clients for 9 to 12 months. And we really get to like develop trust in a relationship. And that's what it takes to really transform their lives. And that's just one of the dimensions that I uncovered in myself this year. And what I learned is that it doesn't make the other dimensions go away. I still like to get on a big stage. I still like to run the accelerators. I still have to paint. All the other dimensions are there. I've unearthed this other part of me. And in doing that, I feel so much more fulfilled. And so this is something that I want you to think about: is your reinvention is not about becoming someone new. This whole new year, new you, I hate that. It's not new year, new you. It's new year, more authentic you, more uncovering dimensions that are true to you. So maybe think about, what is something that maybe has been calling to you that you haven't paid attention to, that you could explore in the coming year. All right, lesson number 2, gradually and then suddenly. That is how any meaningful change and reinvention happens. And this is actually a quote from one of my favorite authors, Ernest Hemingway. In The Sun Also Rises, one of his characters says that, gradually and then suddenly. It's not like we wake up one day and like things are different. It doesn't happen like that. A lot of people ask me like, wow, you really changed your life over the last 8 years. 8 years ago, I was completely burnt out. As a tech CEO, I was hardly functioning. I was in a really, really rough place. And now I have never felt more fulfilled. I'm running a hugely successful business, doing what I love. I have an amazing, beautiful family. I'm painting, expressing myself. But how did I get from there to here? It wasn't some big thing. There was no silver bullet. It's just one step at a time, chiseling away at one false inner narrative at a time, learning to like and love myself more at a time, one shift at a time. It's gradually, and then all of a sudden. And so it's something I want you, again, to really absorb into your being, that often when you're in this place, and perhaps you're in this place where you're feeling like something has to change, like you're ready to feel more fulfilled. You are ready to feel more inner peace. You are ready to really step into your greatness. But you don't know what that change is. It's not one big thing. It's many small steps. It's many small shifts gradually, and then all of a sudden. It's kind of a beautiful quote, don't you think? All right, lesson number 3. This was a really big one. And I've seen a lot of breakthroughs just in myself and my clients with this. And here's the lesson. You don't need to have full faith that you can do something. You just need to have a little faith so that you can begin. Confidence emerges through action. It is actually not possible to feel confident about doing something that is new to you. But by definition, it's new. How can you feel confident? All the slogans of like, believe in yourself. Like, I don't know about that. I think there's always going to be some self-doubt there, and that's okay. What you need is just to build up enough self-belief to take that first step. And then another, and then another. And then as you take the steps, your confidence builds. And I just want to quickly share with you one of my mentorship clients. Her name is Paula. She actually graduated from my Reinventability Accelerator in the fall. And she came into it feeling very, very doubtful of herself and feeling very low confidence. And she's this incredible person. She's a mom and a leader at work and in her community, but she just always lacked confidence. And during the accelerator, I have everyone pick what we call a pivotal project. It's something that is challenging, but is calling to you. And then we do this action sprint where you really focus on taking one action a day to completing it. There's like other components, but that's the core. And so Paula chose this project that she's really wanted to do, but hasn't been able to even get around to for 2 years. And the project is to illustrate a book that her son, who has Down syndrome, wrote with his teacher. And it's been a dream of his and hers, but she just never felt, she said, I'm not creative. How can I even think about doing this project? So she hadn't done it. She picked this as her pivotal project. And every day she took a step. She did a little research, contacted an illustrator, talked to someone else, etc. Well, guess what? By the end of the few weeks in the accelerator, the book is with an illustrator. I've actually gotten to see some of the pages. They look amazing. But the most important thing is Paula, in her own words, is absolutely transformed. She said, yeah, sometimes the self-doubt creeps in, but I can't deny it anymore. I've taken these actions. I am capable. I am confident, not because it's something that I'm affirming to myself, but because I can see that I've done it. And this is the essence of this lesson. You don't need to have full confidence that you can do this new thing, whatever that new thing is. You just have to have enough self-belief to begin, to take a step and another, and your confidence will build as you go. All right, lesson number 4. This is actually, this maybe is one of the most personal ones that I learned this year, and it's this. If you want to change your life, you have to decide that staying where you are is the more risky option. If you want to change your life, you have to decide that staying where you are is the more risky option. If you've been part of my community for a bit, you might recall that last year, 2023, I wrote a lot about feeling like I was in the goo, like I was in this place of uncertainty. And when I got to the beginning of this past year, I had this moment of realizing that if I didn't take a significant action, if I did not make significant changes, if I did not reinvent and evolve, then I risked feeling that kind of goo and stuckness and lack of satisfaction for a very long time. And that was very scary for me. I knew I would regret that. And that's really the essence of this lesson is I think regret is a lot more powerful than fear. And so if there's something you're afraid to do, maybe you've been thinking about a new career, maybe you've been thinking about a creative outlet, maybe you've been thinking about writing that book or starting that podcast or launching that business, whatever it is, but you have a lot of fear. I want you to think about, well, in 5 years, will you regret not doing it? Will you regret staying exactly where you are? And when I asked myself that question, my answer was OMFG, giant yes. And that was the catalyst for me to start really going within inside of myself and going through this process of self-discovery to really start to understand what were the dimensions that were calling to me and what did I want to change in my life and my work and my business to feel fulfilled. But it has to begin with this realization that if you are not fulfilled, staying where you are is a lot riskier than doing something new, even if it's uncertain. All right. Lesson number 5. This is such an important one. And I've had a conversation, actually several conversations about it with my clients who had a big aha moment. Here's the lesson. You can be grateful for what you have, and you can want more, a lot more. Something I realized, and I wonder if you relate, is that I'm very grateful for the life that I have. And I realized that I was kind of using my gratitude to tamper my ambition, to tamper my desires. It was kind of felt wrong in a way to want more because I was so grateful for what I had. And a few of my clients that I've mentioned this to said, oh my God, I think it's the same for me. My life is okay-ish. Yeah, I kind of like my job and my family's great and I have this nice house and we take some vacations. But there's this tug, there's this inner friction. I don't really feel good. I don't really feel like I'm fulfilled, but I'm like telling myself, like, don't think that way. Just be grateful for what you have. Gratitude and desire are not opposites. They're in harmony. You can be grateful, and gratitude is so important and so powerful for what you have. But instead of then saying, okay, I can't want more, recognize, oh, this is what I'm grateful for. Well, maybe I want more of that in my life. Because the essence is really, you cannot be truly fulfilled if you're not telling yourself the truth about what you really want. It's kind of the sub lesson in there. And so gratitude is not the opposite of desire. They're really in harmony. You can be grateful for what you have, and you can want a lot more. And I really encourage you to tell yourself the truth about what you want, even if you're not sure exactly what it is, even the tiny kernel of it, and to start pulling on that thread. All right. Lesson number 6. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of a lesson I relearned this year. I've known it for a long time, but it was a great reminder. Less analyzing and more doing. If you've been with me for a while, you know my philosophy, my mantra is action. Action is everything. And the kind of the kernel, the core of this lesson is really, I found myself, like I said, I just got stuck in this like goo of like, and then I went into like analysis of myself. Like, why am I like this? Why do I feel like this? And I know it's something that we all do. Like, why am I like this? What's causing me? And I just think that, yes, self-awareness is powerful, but instead of wasting all that energy trying to figure out why you are the way you are, use a lot of that energy to decide who you want to be and start taking steps to get there. I'm going to say this again because I think I just said kind of like my life philosophy and my mentorship philosophy in one sentence. Instead of wasting all of your energy trying to figure out why you are the way you are, use that energy to decide who you want to be and start taking steps to become that person, to become that future self, because you can. A few summers ago, we took a trip to Peru, and it was really magical. We got to travel around with this incredible shaman. And I remember we were talking, and he said, oh, you're a teacher for people. And we were talking as fellow teachers. And he said, what's one of the challenges that people you work with encounter? And I said, well, in America, I find that there's a lot of energy being spent on kind of looking into our past and figuring out why we are the way we are. And he looked at me and he said, and it was evening, he looked up at the sky, he pointed at the stars, and he said, I think it's better to look up at the stars and recognize that you are the way you are, but you can reach for whatever you want. And it was really beautiful. And I think he kind of inspired this lesson in me. And so less analyzing and more doing. Don't waste all that energy trying to figure out why you are the way you are. Envision who you want to be and start taking steps to move towards that. It's really powerful. All right, lesson number 7. We're on lesson 7 of 10. And these are my lessons from this year about reinvention and change and growth. Lesson number 7 is exactly what I was just talking to, just a different lens on it. You are not the product of your past. You are the product of the future that you want to create. This is so powerful. I'm going to say this again. You are not the product of your past. You are the product of the future that you want to create. One of the gems of research that I came across earlier this year was around this fact that we are mostly motivated by the future self that we want to become, even if that future self is not something we really think about. And one of the simple examples that I love to give when I do workshops or keynotes about this, and I talk with my clients, you have a cup of coffee in the morning, right? Maybe it's a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. Why do you have your cup of coffee? Like, I had a cup of coffee this morning. Why did I have it? Well, because I know from the past experience that when I drink a cup of coffee, it makes me feel good. So the past is our repository of experiences, right? It's a repository of knowledge. Our past absolutely informs our vision for the future, but we can choose at any moment, right? So I had a cup of coffee. What motivated me? Well, I wanted to be that future self that felt energized by the coffee, right? So actually I was motivated by the vision of the future self I wanted to become. And so what I want to really I want you to hear this from my heart right into yours. no matter what has happened to you, no matter what has gone on, no matter what you've experienced in your life, at any moment in time, you have this incredible power, the power of choice. You can choose the future self you truly want to become, and you can start taking steps to become it. I have never met a person for whom this wasn't true. And I really had the gift of working with and training and mentoring hundreds of incredible leaders and entrepreneurs and impact makers. And so this is really something that I want you to chew on is, yes, your past has determined how you feel right now. It's impacted your inner narrative. It actually, of course, it impacts what you can envision, but you're not the product of your past. You don't have to just passively follow what has happened and your reaction to it. You can choose intentionally. The vision, you can choose, this is the future that I want. And then you can use that as your motivation. And you can say, okay, if this is the future that I want, if this is the future self I want to be, what are the steps I need to start taking? And that is the power of envisioning the future self you want to become. That is the power of intentional reinvention. You get to decide, this is the future self I want to be. And then that becomes your motivation. It's not like your past doesn't matter. Again, it's useful repository of information about things you like, things you don't like, but it doesn't have to determine who you are in the future. And in fact, as I mentioned, there's research that shows that our brain is very significantly motivated by the future self we want to become. But often we're not aware what that is. And I'm asking you to become really intentional and really envision, dare yourself to envision the future self you want to become and use that as your motivation for the decisions you make, the choices you make, the actions that you take. And if you want help in doing this, I do want to plug this now, because one of the biggest challenges that I see people come to me with is they say, I know I want something different. I know I want to be more fulfilled. I want to feel freer. I want to feel more like myself. I want to be happier, but I don't know what to do. This is what the Reinventability Accelerator is all about. We go through this 5-step reinventability framework that I've created. And the first part of it is all about coming up with this vision for the future self you really want to become. And it's so powerful. One of my clients, her name is Kate. She graduated from the accelerator and she's now working with me one-on-one. And something that she said at the end of the accelerator, she said she joined as a gift, as a birthday gift to herself. And she said, I have never paused to think about who is the future self that I want to be, not have to be, not should be, but want to be. And she's 47 years old. She's a successful leader at work. She's got wonderful family, kids, and she's taking care of everybody else, but she never really paused to ask herself, what do I want? Who is the future self I want to become? And she said it changed her life to just give herself permission to envision. And now we're creating this beautiful vision together and she's starting to explore it. That's the power. You are not the product of your past. You are motivated by the future self you want to become. So roll up your sleeves and get intentional and dare to envision that future self that you really want to be. It is so powerful. Lesson number 8 is related. This was also such a powerful one. And here it is. Even if you don't achieve it, working towards an audacious goal that you care about will help you expand and grow in absolutely incredible ways. It is so important and so powerful to have something to reach for, to have that goal that you really want and care about, to envision that future self that you really want to become, to envision that future that you really want. It is so powerful. And this was a giant wake up for me this year, because something that I realized, and this was painful to realize because I'm a big dreamer, is that I hadn't dreamt in a really long time. That I didn't have an audacious goal that I really wanted, that turned on my insides, my soul. I didn't have it. And that was a huge reason for why I felt stuck and stagnant and in the goo and unsatisfied. Because to be human is to strive, to grow, to evolve. We need something that pulls us forward. Of course, we want to be grateful for what we have. And of course, we want to be present for the life that is now. But if you don't have something that is pulling you forward, it's impossible to truly feel fulfilled, because that goal is what activates you to grow and expand. When you set a really audacious goal, it illuminates for you things you need to learn, ways you need to improve, and that's so energizing. And that's why it actually doesn't matter if you reach it exactly. I set some audacious goals for myself at the beginning of the year. Some of them I have reached and some of them I did not. But I feel like a completely different person. I have grown so much, and that is exciting. That is the essence of aliveness. So as you head into 2025, I really encourage you to not set small, achievable goals. I don't know. Those are not exciting. Instead, I want you to think about, what do you truly want? And then I want you to ask yourself, if you had 10x the courage, what would that be? And I want that to be your goal. And maybe you don't achieve the whole thing in the year. Maybe it's going to take you 5 years. Fantastic. But when you have that vision, when you have that something like you really want, but you're not quite sure how you're going to get, that's what makes us audacious. That's what starts to like activate you to be like, oh, well, I have to explore this. I have to grow in this way. I have to learn this skill. And that is the essence of being alive to me. That is what makes us feel fulfilled, is when there's something that we're growing and evolving towards, and we're expanding and uncovering more of our unique dimensions on the way there. All right, lesson number 9. It's only impossible if you decide that it is. It is only impossible if you decide that it is. The story that you tell yourself literally determines your reality. It determines the choices you make, the decisions you make, the actions you take. And so if you tell yourself, this is impossible, I want this thing, I want to try launching a business, I want to try writing a book, I want to start a podcast, I want to try for a different role at my company, I want to try for a different career, whatever it is, but like, I don't think it's not possible for me. Boom, it's not. Because that's the story that you've told yourself. And now your brain is only going to look for evidence for why it's not possible. So choose to tell yourself a story of possibility. This isn't about like, yes, 100% this is going to happen. This is not like all rainbows and like fake positivity. No, this is a story of possibility. This is hope. You know, hope is not wishy-washy, like, yes, everything will be amazing. It's also not optimism. Hope is having something that you want and being willing to try different ways to get there, and knowing that you're going to do some work to get there. And the mindset of possibility is so powerful, because you're not saying, yes, I know this is going to work. You're saying, I believe this could be possible for me. Now let me go figure out what are the steps I need to take? What are the actions I need to take? What are the things I need to learn? When you have this mindset of possibility, it is all expansion. It is openness. It activates you. It motivates you. It makes you feel alive. It helps you grow. When you have this mindset of this is not possible, that's all you got. That's it. That's it. So be really intentional and careful about the story that you tell yourself, because the story that you tell yourself literally determines your reality, not by some woo-woo magic, but because it determines the choices, the decisions, and the actions that you take. All right. Lesson number 10. This was a huge one for me this year. This is lesson number 10 that I learned about reinvention and change and growth and fulfillment. No great change is achieved alone. This was a giant lesson that I learned, but whoa, did I resist learning it. I've always had this mentality my whole life that I got to figure it out alone. I'm a force in nature. It's me against the world. That's weak to ask for help. Are you nodding yet? That's always been my philosophy. And I've done a lot of things alone. And yes, I've had teams and people work with me, but I've just always had this like sense, like I got to figure this out alone. And earlier this year, I had this moment of like, just, you ever have this really quiet like moment where you get really honest with yourself? And I got honest with myself and I said, I feel like I want to make a leap. I feel like there's parts of me that are like under this heavy marble, right? That are just hidden. I feel like I'm bumping up against them inside. I feel limited. I feel like something is holding me back. And I don't want to feel like this. and I don't know exactly how to get out of it. And I did a thing that I have never done in such a significant way before. I've actually worked with 3 mentors this year. One business mentor whom I've worked with for a long time, but 2 others that I hired for specific things that I really felt I was limited in. It was the largest investment of time and money I have ever made in myself, ever, times 10. And it was very scary. I'm not going to BS you. It was very scary. But the moment I made those investments, I knew it was the right thing. Because when you really want to like evolve into like a more expansive version of yourself, want to make a significant change, like really step into your greatness, it's so much less lonely when you have someone to guide you, and you can do it so much faster. These mentors, they really guided me through the power of their experience. That's why I call myself a mentor in my work and not a coach, because as a mentor, I share a lot of my experience. My experience is a lot of what I pass on to my clients to help them. And they get to, I call it jump the learning curve, because I've made a bunch of mistakes. So I get to share that with them. They get to make new mistakes, but on this, they get to move faster. And I'm actually a little bit of a lack for words to try and express how powerful it's been to have mentors to guide me, and the giant leaps that I've been able to make in my self-belief, in my inner freedom, in my sense of inner power, in my ability to, I really feel like, bring the best of me, the most authentic version of me into my work, to my clients, to the people that I love. It would not have been possible. Definitely not in this short amount of time if I did not have mentors to guide me. And I'm never going to try to do it alone. I've actually, I was going to say it's been a humbling lesson, but no, it's been very empowering, because I don't think any of us, we're not meant to go through life alone. You know, Ram Dass, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, he had this saying in one of his books. He said, "We're all just walking each other home." Don't you think that's beautiful? We're all just walking each other home, and we're here to help each other. We're here to guide each other. We're here to mentor and help each other. And so if you're someone like me who's always been kind of, I got to do it on my own, you don't need to. And there's actually no glory in it. If you truly want to reinvent yourself, your life, if you feel ready to step into more of who you are, if you feel ready to experience a greater fulfillment or to contribute a lot more in a deeper, more authentic way, you don't have to figure it out you don't have to figure it out alone. There's no badge for that. And I highly, highly recommend that you find and work with a mentor, because it's less lonely, it's more fun, and you get to move a lot faster. All right, friends, these are the 10 lessons that I wanted to share with you. These are the lessons I learned this year about reinvention and growth and change and self-doubt and confidence. And I, as my special birthday episode, my birthday is December 29th, wanted to share them with you because I think they're very timely for the new year. I'll read them through once more, just so you kind of, if you're still listening, you can sort of decide, hear them, and then decide which one you want to go back to. Lesson number 1, reinvention is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more of who you are. Lesson number 2, gradually, then suddenly. That's how any meaningful change happens. Lesson number 3, you don't have to have full faith that you can do it. You just need a little faith so you can begin. Lesson number 4, if you want to change your life, you have to decide that staying where you are is the riskier option. Lesson number 6, less analyzing and more doing. Spend less energy analyzing why you are the way you are and more energy envisioning where you want to go and start taking steps to get there. Lesson number 7, you are not the product of your past. You are the product of the future that you want. Lesson number 8, even if you don't achieve it, working towards an audacious goal that you truly want will help you expand and grow in absolutely amazing ways. Lesson number 9, it's only impossible if you decide that it is. And lesson number 10, no great change is achieved alone. I'm wishing you all a very, very happy new year. I am so grateful that I decided to launch this podcast this year and that I get to take this new journey with so many of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your openness to new ideas. Thank you for the openness in your heart, not just your mind. And I hope that's something that you heard today that you can take deep into your heart and that you can use it to fuel yourself, to have 2025 not be new year, new you. That's a bunch of, ugh, I hate that. But to have it be a year where you step into more of your authentic self, a year where you feel more fulfilled, a year where maybe you finally do that thing that's been calling to you or figure out what it might be. The year where you dare to envision the future self you want to become and start taking steps to get there. If I can help you in any way, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you about it. The best way to reach me is nataly@happier.com. And with that, thank you for being part of my special birthday episode. And I will see you if you're watching on YouTube and be in your ear, as I like to say, for our next episode in the new year. Happy New Year.